What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Flying Raccoon Suit, as well as a Flying Raccoon Cat, who will be jumping up just about now. And yes, we're returning to Moonflower 2023, and the next tune is Eat the World, which is a pretty dramatic title. I don't quite know what to make of it. It certainly has a figurative air about it. I suppose it makes me think two things. One, biting off more than you can chew, as well as cutting off your nose to spite your face. The idea maybe of taking an action irrationally in the mind of revenge, or to, be defiant towards someone in a way that is ultimately self-destructive and harmful. So I wonder if that is in fact what will be happening here. I do have the lyric sheet, though I'm now realizing my phone is over there, so before I'll be able to read the lyric sheet after we listen, or the lyrics on the inner sleeve, I may have to go retrieve that. We'll see what Luca thinks. In any case, this is Flying Raccoon Suit. The track is Eat the World, and it's the fourth track on their 2023 album, Moonflower. A short one, and I feel like when I do look for the lyrics, there won't be all that many on the page. I mean, it seemed like a refrain, and I'm trying to figure out what that second line was. Like, eat the world, let the something unfurl, and obviously unfurl, to roll something out and to see its full extent and detail. So, yeah, ultimately, some of the other lines I didn't catch that clearly, and they were sort of like shouted. It really feels like the brass, the different brass instruments were the absolute star of this one, certainly sonically, but even like in terms of the vibe of the overall track, it was like a brass-driven track more than vocally or lyrically. I do enjoy the, like, it has a bit of a skank rhythm, but it's also like, it's not like, what's the right word? Like, it's, some ska is like mellow, obviously some ska punk is very fast and, energetic. This one just kind of had a fun groove to it, and it felt like it was more, again, about like the sonic vibes than, a distinct like narrative. So I'll see what I can recover from an analysis of the lyrics. Luca, I guess you're gonna have to come with me, so I'll be back in a moment. Just gotta go all the way over here, and I know right when I reach the phone. Nope, she's gonna stay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you've made this more difficult than it would be, Luca, but I hope you enjoyed our journey to the other side of the room and back. And we have returned. Okay, so let me get the lyric sheet out here. Once again, shout out to those in the band who have commented on previous reactions. Yeah, so it does have a shorter lyric section, although maybe not as short as Vidalia, which had like essentially like 6 lines. But okay, so the lyrics here. Every day you're afraid of nothing, following the way the wind blows. I did hear that second line. On this path of most resistance, far too kind to those xenophobes. Interesting. Soon we'll wrap this up. And it eats the world as we come unfurled. So it's we. And it eats the world coming back again. And it eats the world as we come unfurled. And it eats the heart from your chest. Don't watch while it eats this world. So yeah, I guess it had, I guess, more of a, philosophical or socio-cultural statement, which seems to be that xenophobia and, bigotry, prejudice, viewing other people as the other and who are therefore less human, which, as a historian I would say goes back to the earliest recorded history. Like the word barbarian was a Greek word, and it meant everyone who isn't Greek and by definition subhuman. But of course, that's part of why wars and racism and indifference to suffering is such a recurrent problem, in human affairs right up on into the present, because we do have xenophobia and we do feel like, and by we I mean humanity more broadly. Hopefully not all that many people who follow my channel and watch these videos have these sentiments, but again, seeing people who come from somewhere else as inherently inferior or dangerous or undesirable merely because they come from somewhere else or look somewhat different or speak a different language or conduct their lives in a different way, have a different set of beliefs and so on, and maybe even tying into the concept, which I don't necessarily see here, although, I guess you could read it into it, but the idea of, again, cutting off your nose to spite your face, engaging in actions which are to, get revenge on the other in a way prolongs your own suffering and draws you into these brutal, dehumanizing conflicts and warps your mind in terms of, becoming dogmatic about prejudicial and bigoted views, when in fact, if you instead looked for common points of understanding and basic humanity as it exists in all humans, the world might be in a better place, your own nation state might be in a better place, your own culture might be in a better place, and your brain might be in a better place. So yeah, now, I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but the use of the word xenophobia there, which I didn't catch on the listen, seems to be the crucial ingredient in the tune. And, it's the case with a lot of ska tracks where, they're fun, they make you want to skank around, and yet you do look at the lyrics and it's like, oh shit, well, that is actually a profound point, despite the fact that the song is so fun and, makes me feel like I want to dance, which, I think that's part of ska. Going back all the way to the original, Jamaican ska, certainly like two-tone ska, the second wave, some of the bands in the third wave, which, happen in different places, but maybe especially the US, that was very much an aspect of ska music, that it's making social commentary even as it has a good time and makes you want to dance. So shout out to Flying Raccoon Suit for this album, for this song, for those lyrics. Looking forward to more. Oh, and for those amazing brass flares and flourishes and melodic lines. And indeed, you heard, trumpet and saxophone, you heard them all kind of interacting. Or I don't know if it was trombone and saxophone, but definitely I heard the sax and another instrument kind of doing its own lead flourish and then them acting in concert. So yes, great track, very much enjoyed it, and it ended up being quite profound. Shout out to Luca. We'll see what she does. Are you going to get up and leave? Yep, she's going back behind the turntables. In any case, let me know what you think. I will see you for the next one. Peace.